mande logani yandayame. Sono lo janjo mando dane janjo je, nage shujun jibe sonam je, rolam sanjen robai shu. janjo mando dane janjo je, nage shujun jibe sonam je, rolam sanjen robai shu. soje zhona la chan zhō ba zhō da ne gyab zhō zhe da ge chu zhō ye be son zhō la pen je san je zhō ba ra zhō. I want to remind all of ourselves to take a moment and cultivate the highest form of motivation. We call it bodhicitta or altruistic motivation, seeking complete enlightenment for the benefit of all other sentient beings. And with that kind of motivation, we should participate in this Lamrim discourse on the stage of the path to enlightenment by Manjushri Lama Tsongkhapa. Allow me to read about a couple of pages from this Lamrim Chemo, volume number 2 in the English translation of Lamrim Chemo, page 182, to give you the blessing of oral transmission followed by explanation.
So, 长生康总主的这完了是这没法走的天，不走结完了天要天文不应的，那没上医院去的总主怎么我们就点吧些那个总主任的当天把大新闻的来你上就的信息为现在这个联合了手续不帮。搞我就个别上搞我这样没把上山来送的，你这上报了恐怕现在这把是没有人机为那边，这个那边这个那把谁因为就是这边讲我下午保险对吧来讲。我就可以他的娘咱们的家些人你的真就是了，得着啥个比如路，路的这个路，推到上边路就是的推认为给把家族确定个产业界，上学上个生命这个解决了。天天当被错些在这些如果学了就话，人家教没上手当把我纪律没完做，纪律没完做，我考到上个这个什么的，考察的把也天天那么多学不人些，俺这老呀，他那把我当不你们这送吧样。国际组织说，宣扬高他们大的引起了下届的些位小孙子啦，大我当的就你老些位，老不说说那小弟弟什么这些上去，这个多的找我看个弄个什么你别唱的话，伢把这个孙子伢把。就长当娘把我这个事情，这个是这玩意了。这单位出去是不是但是也是这玩意儿小姑娘没兄弟，国家没事别路国家没事把人没着路中没事别学校里送的，可能别超给总之说老能得着上班人我上班的妓女呢。错大爷吧，在那对做媳妇，这把对别吧，他了，前人们的就晓得，就是现在人完了，那人完了，搞完铁匠的，牛的厂，搞完铁匠的牛的厂家了，就把大爷把他推前人完说了这样，没把推厂家。要的上街了些，人我就啊，现在是Geshe那么些，人都没得想，叫我来也是说的单位或者是看个团队组织怎么了呢？各位兄弟怎么组织呢？新主样的不知这不现在得了叫我新阶段也是从小我就了解到这把它就组织说你把组织这边他那俺这些把他从你这个是当就叫我那把别把得了了那边的这边年龄限度，开始我这样开始就我写完了熊和那些叫和中掉了用做把它东西提路就把小。对了些组织给把我的我这些包括做啥吧的，提起来的呢组织怎么说了啷个到带了领导什么来说我来说我下去了，他带下去了，他给咱们做行政的带这些组织，发起单的，提那党部西那的组织的干的了，他组织起来的组织咋把开的过是呢？那总主的来呀，那他们照样被开赛，根本就开的钱，那 존주기 표현 삼그랬어. 아니 존주 맞으면 님이다. 존주 짬이 표현 삼그랬어요. 그래서 이 존주 짬 표현까지 돼야 돼요.
Geshe read from the bottom of page 181 to page 186, and that was the blessing of oral transmission of the teaching. And now he started to give explanation. And just to recapitulate a little bit what we were talking about before, of course, we are talking about Bodhisattva's Junju, or perfection of joyous or enthusiastic perseverance or effort. And so in the beginning, for any of us to get interested in cultivating enthusiastic perseverance, like for many other practices, we really need to understand and contemplate the benefits, the profits in today's language we can get out of cultivating this practice, and the losses we might incur, or the demerits, disadvantages if we don't do that. So we're kind of continuing that theme also now.
표현만 보시면 그냥 가지고 다 다른 너대진 해야 되는데 와서 교회에서는 존중쇼 근데들 때는 지 에티제토 존중제니 뭐라 라데네 또 존중 지된데든 지대소 존중제니 시주 또버 존중제니 다바람 준데 존중제니 지도 지도 데는 존중제니 형주쇼기 형주쇼 상지 거기다 this Gyeltsen 가게는다 개와베 나가도 베 방보여 와티 나네야 이 Gyeltsen 야시데 존주리 싫어 디미 유진 가데세나 존줄 때네 데 제스 톱도레스 간디 가자게 수 토자 가르지면 될야 베조신 좀바메나 인코 사바다 인코 토마르와 저 존주인다 가르사나 인텔바 베조신샤나 인코 탑시 예바인서 코 톱도로와 디스케로와 존주지는 뭐라 데네 톱스 로다 이 존주시는 비게 방론을 현수이 시에나 이네 데도야 데베니 토고 뭐 비게 등에니 토고 말고 대지다 렌제 도don시 도로 와라 디시 고도 지디데 지데 토스 어디서 다 고도 상가 지데 고도 다 삼데 무기도 준주 사가스게 되게 여러와 다 지데는 데와세도 당한서 페이지 디샤고다 통로인지 다음에 무슨도 있다 파벨란도 지된 데에 쇼를 샤워와 어디게 가가 이니 존주 토레스 세아즈데와 디네 존주제네 탁바 랍주르데미 존주제네 탁바 랍주르데 랍주르데 존주제네 지조달리 존주제네 형주 쇼상제스 다데레 존주제네 탁바 람주르데 시드선 데바라 탁바 람주르스나 페지 디게다 거지 님들 시제 저와 방배 에디게 무니고서 뭐다 어디 도우레스야입니다.
가르스문이
라
가르스문 용달래
존주 라
저리 시제 제법
시제 저와다 니무 저바니 탁바 람주르데세도와 탁바 시드다 방배 샤샤가와 다디 단다 저주스베 송다 다사지에 공부지 베게 리니방에 방아샤고 지로와 이제 조리진 지도 내내 툴스 지도서 지도 다와서 그다 당지도와 어셔도 존주여나 이제 가르사 포지션다 되게 야시네 땡인제 고네 신이시 또 학동도서는 고네 그 지도 다와서 방토고와 어디시 지도 단 가서 지도 내내 툴 존주께는 정주 존주께는 정주 초상제스 다다디 탁바람 좀 된줄셔야 돼 상제셔야 그 데면도 존주께 정주 초상제스 돼야 나바타지 위시토를 해야지 자 가지 방조연대 니고라와 당기디 야 din이 봐야지 될야 인 정주 초상제스도 좀 연대자 가서 캠베샤데 관계다 가서 꾸니도 오르와 쇼그다 있는 수근이 가서디 가서 이시 쇼그다 무니고서 저거 말해 저거 어디 또 그랬어요.
So Geshe has just explained the passage quoted from Mahayana Sutra Alankara, or ornament for the Mahayana Sutra, cited at the bottom of page 182 over to page 183, which really tells us more benefits about cultivating joyous perseverance or enthusiastic perseverance, or jundu in Tibetan. As Geshe explained, that among innumerable virtues or the positive things that we can do, enthusiastic perseverance or jundu is rated as a supreme or the best. And there's a reason why it is rated as the topmost quality, if you will, is because if we have it, then it seems like everything else becomes possible, right? That we might set forth any kind of goals for ourselves. Achievement of the goals is dependent upon enthusiastic perseverance. It's not simply enough to wish for how nice if I become this and that, or I have this and that. Well, that's just like daydreaming, isn't it? It's never going to happen unless you follow the wish with some action. Right? So enthusiastic perseverance is an action-oriented effort that can lead you to the fulfillment of your goals. So therefore, it is a supreme quality one could have. The next, with enthusiastic, perseverance, we are able to achieve both, mundane and super mundane, goals. The mundane can be also related in terms of, let's say, we would like to find fortunate rebirth in our next life, right? That depends upon the practice of what we call the cultivation abandonment, panglang in Tibetan. We have to get rid of something, that is abandonment. We have to adopt or cultivate something, that's lang, right? So based upon our practice of abandonment and cultivation, we will be able to achieve good higher rebirth in the next life. We will be even able to achieve some extrasensory perceptions, such as some miraculous power or clairvoyance of some kind. But enthusiastic perseverance can also lead us beyond mundane affairs of things. It could help us to actualize what we call supramundane or transcendental qualities, which is defined as once you attain the path of seeing, Tonglam, the Darshan mark, and beyond, that's all transcendental, isn't it? Once you have a path of seeing, you become a transcendental being, and then all other qualities you cultivate become supramundane qualities. So that also depends upon enthusiastic perseverance. And with enthusiastic perseverance, we will also be able to what we call possess, translated here as utter purity, or we gain some state of purity, which could be explained in terms of what we call the two types of mental obscuration that need to be abandoned: delusions or delusive obscuration, nyuntip in Tibetan, and obscuration to omniscient knowledge, shetip. So this is what we have to get rid of, those two mental obstructions, and when we do that, we achieve certain purity state of mind, right? So Chinju can help us. Enthusiastic perseverance can help us to materialize that. And with enthusiastic perseverance, we will be able to counteract what we call jigsaw, the view of transitory collection, or which is based upon our perishing aggregates. Because right now we have this innate grasping at true existence of self and aggregates and everything else. And with enthusiastic perseverance, we succeed in cultivating the three higher trainings, right? Training in higher ethics, which helps us to develop training in higher concentration, which helps us to develop training in higher wisdom, which includes what we call special insight, isn't it? So when we have a special insight into ultimate reality, that helps us to overcome and destroy, transitory view or grasping at self. So that's where Jundu is important. And with Jundu, enthusiastic perseverance, we can achieve complete enlightenment and Buddhahood, right? And so now you might be wondering why earlier we said we can get rid of the two obscurations, and now we are talking about, right? We can look at it from the two different perspectives. One perspective is, what do we need to get rid of, right? So from that point of view, we can talk about the purity of things. And one thing is, what can be accomplished from a complementary perspective was, well, you can have the omniscient mind. That's the Buddha mind, and that is also dependent upon the Zundu. So therefore, Zundu has manifold benefits and profits.
Because Zundu never longje Japan, Zundu never Yamu Japan, Zundu Demba, Joy Pama, Zundu Demba, Chevy Pama Miss. What if that Zundu because never longje Japan Miss is on the Lungju said, Lungju said, I think you are. Lungju said that Lunga is some in the Lungja, Gangal Pen. Lord, then that Damita Vishara and the Dame Lungju says your mare. What the util cigarettes are watching. So do you know? In the consumption, because I sure of sugar some Gongusan in the Gumju Fungum, that would tell you was you in the Karaguna Gumjo Yorawa, giving Chungu Tika Gumna Gumjo, Jinguna Gumjo, Kane Guna Pialansan, Gumja the top one member. You are the light in the Lungju Papa Mexico. You Lungju the Papa Messina, oh, this is something that was Nimuji. I tell you, the Pagama got Nimu, Soon the Joy Papa Miss. That Joy said, I think on the later was never the case shaking shower. She soon to Kali the Jadita and pay Kalaka, you should pay Kanikang and Motel in the same Pachani. She would my simple Mabori John is Juara. Or the Juma is stuck or got to do something in the court. Because Lobs of Mambo, she said the talk of some Jashibutonga Yora, some Jashibutonga and the call Lolamsa, and Beranja sort of what did Lord Duja Yomara. I said that Joy Papa Miss River. To do the Tebe Papa Miss, that the Papa Yover got that to do and to a Jashibushiro. What this is that Tebe Kandita Gagapus of Gaga to do the Jogorisia to that generation.
So we're on page 183. We're continuing with the benefits of Zundu, enthusiastic perseverance. And so as Geshe explained, those who have Zundu, joyous perseverance, they don't get let down by things such as, it says prosperity here. Longju, that was the Tibetan. But here, the prosperity is not to be understood in terms of material prosperity. So getting rich and becoming a billionaire is not part of the plan here for the Zundu. But really what it means is that once we have enthusiastic perseverance, we become resourceful in the sense that, you will find plenty of things to meditate on, isn't it? If you want to practice, you won't be deprived of things to meditate on. Like, okay, now what do I do, right? No, that's plenty of things you can focus on. So you become very resourceful, That's what the prosperity is here. With enthusiastic perseverance, we won't be, overcome by afflictions or pneumo, afflictive emotions. As a matter of fact, enthusiastic perseverance helps us to apply antidotes to different mental afflictions. So afflictions, go down, if you will. And with enthusiastic perseverance, we are able to sort of prevent discouragement. As Geshe said, that we as beginners, one of our major obstacles is you might get easily discouraged, when we face difficulties and challenges, like, well, I'm not meant for it, my mind is really not up to that. And so we can have, all kinds of excuses here. But with enthusiastic perseverance, it doesn't let us get discouraged easily, and that's because, we are able to cultivate very broadened and multiple perspectives. When you have a lot of perspectives, look at things, right? That's very resourceful. You don't get easily discouraged. You look at from here, it looks one way. You look at from there, it looks different, So your mind becomes kind of a widened, broadened up, so you don't get easily discouraged. And then I think here in the English translation it says petty attainments. I don't know what that was translated. But the one thing Geshe explained was with enthusiastic perseverance, we will never be deprived of opportunities to listen to teachings, because there will be plenty of teachings, you can receive.
说你尊重可能以前的他们为些的尊重那么样都做不成就这个时候是第一本那点呗，当班制度写的拍进对吧来讲，用说就没尊重，我到底没有不รู้当嘛的写进来，但是上山里从下的了，这的话，有做去他们这个女主的个是尊重人士。尊重人家，现在这他们为些是他这个其中的几把老师把的做嘛的是，尊重的那他们样做做的是，享受他把学吧，我写第一些把那么点呗，当班这多，们是的话写第一把那你这边商业那一点吧的，你慢慢把这个当班教，他说的点，就是商业他们这个呢，尊重做点下下去是吧？
So in the middle of page 183, we have a passage quoted from Bodhisattva Bhumi or Bodhisattva levels. And as Geshe explained, that joyous perseverance, enthusiastic perseverance, Chundu, is regarded as the principal cause for achieving enlightenment. Of course, there are many causes we need to create to achieve enlightenment. But relatively speaking and comparatively speaking, Chundu is the most important one. If you have Chundu, you could have many other things, right? But if you focus only on, let's say, ethics, but not much Chundu, it may not lead you, much anywhere. So therefore, Chundu is a prime cause here. And so Buddhas of the three times, as if have unanimously declared, right? Buddhas of the past said, you should have enthusiastic perseverance if you want to become Buddha, right, or succeed. And Buddhas of the future will have say the same thing, and so therefore, Chundu is a primary cause that we should cultivate to achieve enlightenment. Yonde tsoji ma yuwa mis, yonde kare na biko tila ya yonde di memba ba kyo do shini yoma de yonde kare na ganga ti to do re wa. Me shele pabe tonam je medo obeshi ki number pes. Rwa me shele se na ta de rwa me shele na de da.
no the Jew people we are there care about that some of the top cheber the ginger do which is jundu say do or tindele me show this girl Michelami jeans the other Namgita Laura. She had a me show the public tone yes me show the chile public tone yes or did that next and because the lam como ya ton medo over number pace. She had a medo Savia Kasha and I wrong Julia double your dedicated neither in the number paid as you said.
We're still on page 183. Now Geshe gave commentary on the passage quoted from Arya Viras, or who's also called Ashava Ghosh, Loben Pao, the compendium of the perfections. And so this text highlights that if we have Zundu, enthusiastic perseverance, then we will be successful in anything we would like to accomplish. Right? You maybe want to be free from just samsara, which is called attaining nirvana. You can do that. Or you want to attain Buddhahood, right? Beyond nirvana and samsara, you will be successful if you have Zundu or enthusiastic perseverance. And so also not only the humans, but other non-humans will also take delight in your enthusiastic perseverance cultivation practice. And with it, you will be able to attain all different types of thinking, meditative stabilizations or concentrations, samadhis. As Geshe explained, that bodhisattvas are honored for having achieved many kinds of meditative stabilizations, so Zundu makes it possible to attain all different types of samadhis. As a matter of fact, without samadhis, it's even hard to become a bodhisattva in the first place. So you need that. With enthusiastic perseverance of Zundu, we really spend our day and night meaningfully, isn't it? We don't have a time to waste, because either, maybe we are studying or we are practicing or we are thinking positively. We are doing something, isn't it? Meaningful. So day and night will be well spent with Zundu. With Zundu, good qualities will be on the rise. They will not decline, right? So those qualities will keep increasing in us. And with Zundu, it says, your purposes surpassing the affairs of humankind. The Tibetan word is miche. Miche literally means human qualities. But what it really means is, as Geshe said, some like extraordinary human qualities, if you will, such as developing a warm-hearted and compassionate heart, right? That's a little, extraordinary, even for humans, isn't it? Or having some kind of clairvoyances, a power, so that we will be able to, help others. So those qualities become possible with the Zundu. And with Zundu, we are able to meditate on the stages of the path and become very successful. We will be always on the kind of progressive side of the things, right? It is as if the example given is like the qualities blossom in us like upala flower, right? The upala flower is supposed to be very beautiful, and when she blooms, it's a thing to see. So that it will be like that,
Oh, did it? That much because Payong of the Ganga, that Sidum to say, Jimbas Redelia, and vacation, she done it, said the Ganga Yorova. You're the that Sidum Jimbasia to Suvasia to Karsa, anything in the Duyata, Hilan Duyak, hit of the shoe, but to go on which and the Benata, Sidum song, because you song in a got the address of Togumaria, Tarva to Tokayomava, and Jimba in the Takana. Oh, Ticheta, Servat, the Gagachi, Koron Wushani, Petava Tamishan, Komotota, Koron with Nevada de Yomarwa. This wood of the Caddes and Nevazo of the any Southern Sheriff will have a diameter of Loche. That tell it, quite tell you what you want, anything in the go, right? She need. That she need the Yavayon, don't do the Carson of Sidus who now go away, Southern Hinda do not go away, because that don't do the Carsa. 做你个军事，我说我们这边没有，松露是做你军事，现在都是开始可以，他的那个现在的劳动人的一些做些，唐伯送的送农做，是总之送露是做你军事，做你个到位是来了吧？我现在总之我呢这个开学学的效果大，我这个。
So here we are really talking about the many qualities and the benefits of cultivating Zundu, enthusiastic perseverance, of course. Now, if we change the topic, let's say we are talking about ethics, then we will be talking a lot about the benefits of the ethics or the generosity, right? Looks like any topic is under a cover, we talk about how greatly it is. So it seems like we are talking about good things anyway, but that's not what it is. Because in the case of ethical practice or even generosity, this becomes more like an augmentative practices, right, to achieve enlightenment. By themselves, they may not just lead us, to the highest goals. If you, let's say, you abide by the basic ethics of abandoning 10 negative activities, body, speech, and mind, great. Okay, maybe next life you will have a good rebirth. Okay, that's it. It's not going to just by the 10 ethics of abandoning the man, you become a Buddha, you become liberated from. It's not going to be that because it alone doesn't have a power to do that. The same with generosity. It will produce some positive results, but it's not going to just let you out of the samsara or make you Buddha the next day. It won't. But enthusiastic perseverance makes everything possible, isn't it? So when we look within the 6 perfections. There are perfections which primarily deal with, let's say, accumulation of merit, right? Ethical practice, generosity, patience. This really generate a lot of merit, but not so much the wisdom, if you will. And then there's the perfection of wisdom, right? That is really accumulation of wisdom. But enthusiastic perseverance is the one that belongs to both, isn't it? With enthusiastic perseverance, you become successful accumulating 2 types of collection of merit, punya, sonam, and collection of wisdom or insight, Geshe. So enthusiastic perseverance, from that perspective, is a super duper, quality, isn't it? Not just we are talking about its goodness, because it connects with everyone. It really is a cause for us to be liberated, a cause for us to become enlightened being. So that is something we must keep in mind. As Geshe explained, with enthusiastic perseverance, we are able to cultivate concentration or calm abiding. And with enthusiastic perseverance, embedded in the calm abiding, we can cultivate special insight. With special insight, we can destroy the grasping, isn't it? So it really is what we call the mover and shaker of things here, isn't it? So that is Zundu.
我这些他总之可是咱们能培养些，他总之么子呢？他该就是嘛啦呢？他我是那个开始的了吧？现在这有那，搞马戏呢，这是中文说这个那个嘛，我用过的。我听到一切嘛是说，但总之嘛都联系呢，他你们的学了，现在浪多大，那个旁边看是说的呢，比较别啥呢？别你说么他们这个。猎杀我啥么子这里边牙个这用嘛是吧？现在总之嘛做呢，中等这有的是，但你们下的这多，我记得你们听的，你们呢，老子家族希望的是，老见了呢，小时现的人性，那么人我是，但认为那么长的是吧？现在的那么人是我说的说是的，看起好像认为给这里是吧？Lila jenala ni jimba mewa ni shera jifa di me dos ta phaju do na lilo yu chendel ya ini jimba do to ma din shera ba di phaju do nyale khana leg mar si ko zodu me ni yo mar ba lila chen ni hin ji to me dos ta rong do me ta hin do to pa sha ba ngo tin sa me do she da chemba je ya le je nyumu ji shi chi ni lilo in de kan le kan la lelo karsa nyumu na hije ne lelo inde kan la ye kan lelo ji ya ba tele shugu me ba he so ba tarsa zongju ne me da lelo on di so ne ko ju gun ji phombo je ne ga da tadu gi ji bu thon tam de le nyam ba jo ro sa o de da da ra wa ke da 但是总之面呢，那别个朗多的接就不要么，朗多就要么呢，那别个 top 家这个牙个接所用么吧，或者旁边啊，每个的那个总之国个么，或者俺个是个用啥子吧？现在每个可能按着上呢，那野外接没有现在的小鱼的刚刚人话的，是这样的要么的，是也是的吧？都听不着。
And so we talked, many benefits of Zintu, enthusiastic perseverance. Then we can ask the question, like, what if we don't cultivate Zintu? What does it matter? Well, it matters a lot. It's not like there are some things in our life if we don't do it, it's just that we wasted our time. But it doesn't really affect us that much, isn't it? It's just you didn't accomplish anything, you didn't do anything bad. It's just statics. Status quo is maintained, isn't it? But it's not like that. If we lack Zintu, enthusiastic perseverance, it's detrimental for our spiritual advancement. As Geshe explained, based upon the questions of Sagaramati Sutra. So it's called the Sagaramati Paripuja Sutra, a sutra requested for by a person called Sagaramati. It's a long one to say, but so it says that. Someone who is lacking Zintu, enthusiastic perseverance, enlightenment is a far, very, very super duper far off thing. So we are not simply far, very far, right? Super duper far, so forget it. That's what it is. So that's not a good thing. So depending on what is ring, Shindu ring. So it just goes like that. So I get kicked out of that one. But if we lack Zintu, enthusiastic perseverance, then we will not have any of the perfections, from the generosity to the wisdom, right? Because they require Zintu, okay? And without enthusiastic perseverance, we will not be helping and benefiting anybody else, Forget about benefiting others, as Geshe said. If we are lazy, lack Zintu, we are not even going to be successful in our own affairs of things, right? So if we fail in our own affairs of things, forget about helping others to be succeed in their goals. So it's just not possible. Then we have a passage quoted from Mindfulness of the Excellent Teaching, which is on page 184, right on the top. I quote, "Whoever has laziness, the single basis of the afflictions, whoever feels some laziness lacks all good qualities," unquote. As Geshe explained, one of the maybe important basis for the arisal of afflictions in our mind is the lack of Zintu, enthusiastic perseverance, isn't it? So which means if we don't have Zintu, we are not interested in the practice of abandonment and cultivation, right? Because we say whatever, so that attitude, doesn't work here, right? So what? And so other afflictive emotions arise because we don't care what emotions arise or don't arise, So it becomes a basis for the arisal of afflictions. And lacking Zintu, then we will, also lack many good qualities. We won't succeed in cultivating and enhancing good qualities if we don't have Zintu. So not having Zintu is not a neutral thing. It's not like maintaining the status quo, right? As we said in the beginning, some things we don't do in our life, it neither affects, positively or negatively, it's just wasted the time. But it's not that, Lacking Zintu means we will stay far, super duper far from the enlightenment, So that's a bad thing. No.
다다 저와 인생세 릴로세데 데레가서 빙 셋디도 그게 그러다 또고도스 시에서는 내가 가리는 배 소야지어라 셋디 미세가가 파텔 쇼르드 손스니 엔 추드 코가 말아세 디나기 차월 바 쇼르소는 텔야 니카레 그 저와 인생이 릴로세고다 다 가자 지루베스는 다데라고서 페샤 다 시달롭지시고 맞아 벤 설레어도시는 또 레더하죠. 들지로 오시라. that Shumbele cigarette, Daniel cigarette. That space, net didn't talk much, that Tara talked over the hat. On board, there was a situation on my side, so the Mapavia delicar. There's a Shumbele cigarette.
No.
Tell in the car, Daniel Yevele Losivota. So they did do you easy work, that country.
No, so.
What did she at that dinner? Give the Yevele Shumbele Losi.
Chishu.
La
Chishu.
Chishu. She said that Sunny she that is none she said, or do that on the page did later or that page of show position or that country. The no lega mamma said, I did such that. And the young Gumjas and the show logs and the show. She said, did I got Terry Sunny Cage, Cranny the Harrow with the daughter. She said, she used in the John dish word, that child dromedor.
So here we are talking about Juntu, enthusiastic perseverance, and pretty soon we will talk about different types of enthusiastic perseverance. But in general, enthusiastic perseverance is an antidote to overcome laziness or lelo in Tibetan. And there are different types of laziness, and Geshe mentions 4 here. Okay? The first one is Yilukwe lelo, the laziness of indolence. Maybe I'm not pronouncing it right. What it basically means is we just love to be couch potatoes, right? I just want to rest. Don't make me do anything or think. Just leave me alone. Yeah. That's beautiful. So that kind of laziness, right? We just want to be couch potato, Somehow that sedentary thing is a good thing, Don't make me do something. Yeah. So that is a laziness. Then the other laziness is called, for lack of a better translation, is the laziness of being attached to frivolous activities. So which is translated as if all our lifetime is consumed by just this life's affairs, and then we never have opportunity to practice Dharma, that's called laziness. How we are not lazy in the sense not working hard. We're working hard. We're succeeding out, making money, and then we become more busy because we got more money, And so life gets so busy and hectic that we never have a chance to practice Dharma. Dharma is the last thing we will think about, right? So that's called the laziness of being attached to frivolous, in the sense, kind of essenceless things of this life, right? So there is that. Then there is the laziness of what called discouragement or undermining one's own ability. Shumbelelo. That means, what? No, I can't. I'm not a smart person. But that's too big for me. So we make all these 10,000 excuses that I'm not up to the par with anything. And so, leave me alone. So that is actually the worst kind of laziness, that we undermine our own ability. We are looking down on our own ability, belittling ourselves, right? I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not whatever. So Geshe said that's the worst kind, we have to watch out. And then the fourth one is the Chishu Jilelo, the laziness of procrastination, right? I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it later, right? And we really get caught up with this, isn't it? Because our life is very busy, right? Because first thing, our priority is all the things we need to do for this life, right? Pay the bill, whatever. And so the Dharma is like, I'll do tomorrow. Well, I'll do meditation tomorrow. I'll do the retreat tomorrow, I'll do the reading tomorrow, I'll do whatever. Or maybe later, right? So the later is pushed to the later because there's a later, right? And tomorrow is tomorrow, right? And there's another tomorrow, endless tomorrow, right? So we keep on procrastinating the thing that the tomorrow never ends, and then the life ends and snaps, and they're like, whoops, then we lose everything. So these are the different types of laziness, I'll run through the list one more time. The laziness of, I call sedentary or couch potatoes. Well, I like it, that one. The laziness of being attached to the mundane affairs of the things of this life, right? Becoming rich, famous, commissioner, I don't know, I'll just put it there in my footnote. And then the laziness of belittling yourself, right? Now, I can, what if, I'm humble, I'm this, I'm that, 10,000 excuses. And then the laziness of procrastination, I'll do it later, and I'll find a time later on. I'll do it tomorrow, and then you never do it, or we never do it. Okay, so those are the different types of laziness, and we need Junji to be able to deal with and counteract them.
어디 다티시 가다 존주를 잡이들 존주 잡릴라 니 잡이고도 존주 집에 타 당부선데 고제 존주 개시디 존주 심지 통지 존주스 당분 현재 존주 좀 주변가로는 심지 조항은 저위 삼배 고제들이 전부 세대 다니께와 전부 동당 유년비 인샤 사비 개바심부 정미부 섬시다 몸주기 심제제기 등의 세비치드 심제녀와 거너네 네네 산지토반교나 조아시데 조상시드 좀바시를 존류를 쇼바 메도나 뒤기 유데레 엘레 통화당 등의 충분히 따지자면 냐바 대답이 고제존도 고서 다다 존류 고제존도시에 애니 교와시디 심지 존류 소나 담보 고제존도시에 가래 고선 다티 고르시오라 간제 가자 저디 담보 삼고 가르도 오나 다 가자 깨바베 동다 깨바시고 동다 유냐베 니샤 사르시오 다 거지 깨바 동데야 니샤 직지 Dia sabe loja tinha que loja bom jurte ringlia any kalejan simje chig thoda sigi shumsona in telia tiga samni o dinji gore so right o tije da simje chig thoda right ngonje pe keba tongra mo chi sheti keba tongra mo chi shagu chig si nganze tingse shagu chig so se go right da dinji lo da dinji ja jo mare o dinji ringlia ini bekalejan 심지적 산지산 고지슈나 되게 참으신 수거다. 심담제도 수고 없다. 다 다가나 이 심지를 레토로 디렉션 어디 딘데 bekaleja고나라 ini ngabe 조아좀 비요 시세번 독삼네 ini 어딘데 간지 소수도야 고작고 뽑아째고 그러시고 근데 간지 라마시베 지금 예배 맨날 깨봐져도 내가 인심이 정신 전지 보여서 시기로 세지 봐라.
So we are on page 184, and the subpoint reads the division of joyous perseverance, which is explained under two subpoints. The first one is the actual division. What are the different types of junju, enthusiastic perseverance, and then how to cultivate junju. And so here, three types of junju, enthusiastic perseverance, are mentioned. The number one is called Goche Junju, literally translating armor-like Junju, enthusiastic perseverance, wearing the armor, putting on the armor-like. The second one is the Junju to gather virtue, to accumulate virtue. And the third one is the Junju to work for sentient beings. Yeah, there are three types of Junju. Now, going back to the first one, armor-like enthusiastic perseverance, Goche in Tibetan, what really means is, we really need to, orient our mind and prepare our mind. We have to boost up our spirit, in the beginning of our practice, that I can do it, almost like I can do it more, kind of thing. And so setting a very strong motivation and determination, that's called putting on the armor, right? From the beginning, we said that as the thing given here is really huge, actually. Geshe said, let's say, when we talk about, working for eons, let's say 1,000 eons constitute one day. Then we can think of a year that is made up by many days of this. Even for this long, if I have to work for the benefit of one single sentient being so that he or she can progress to the enlightenment, so be it. I'm going to stay the course, right? I'm not going to, quit on him or her and myself. I'm just going to do it. That kind of a mindset, right? That kind of a mental courage needs to be generated. So we really need to always inspire and boost up our spirit, right? To be able to, practice and to be able to benefit others. So that's called putting on the armor, right? To protect ourselves from discouragement and letting down and and excuses and all of that.
그래서 고제도 이제 삼노동나 어디 깨야 돼. 깨는 뭐 가지 들려진 걸이야. 심지적 돈달이야. 가지 맨날 어디 제가 찍바래 어디 뒤치나라 수업은 독산 가 소소도 그게 로도 게야지래도 당국은 로고 너 총을시나 제가 그게 돈다 총을여도 가서 지금 말을 가서 한 발에서 말이도 내봐야 하면도 세야지 말에 어디 계셨어요 당국은 로 좀되나 이거 라는데 되게 누구로 와 당국은데 야시 벌써 전에 그 라는데 강에 되나 강에 세야지 용거로 와 어디 계셔 와
So as Geshe explained, something I left from the previous explanation is Geshe also referred to this important stanza from the Guru Puja, Lama Chöpa, which deals with the Tsundu, where it says, even if you have to stay in the in the fire of the hell for 100 eons, right? May I never be let down by my compassion, right? My compassion stays intact, right? Changju Chozhenbe, that I strive for the enlightenment, right? Then I succeed in completing the Tsundu, right? So that's a kind of armor-like courage we need to develop. From the mindset, it makes a big difference, isn't it? In the beginning, if we become too humble, like, well, maybe this is about it, I can do, right? Then this is what it is, because you kind of limited yourself by this minutiae thing, isn't it? But from the beginning, if you just have expansive thought, wow, the whole universe is in front of me, I'm there, right? So then it helps, isn't it? So thinking a broadened perspective is very encouraging ourselves. So we have to be strong in the beginning to think more broadly and with the determination. And so sometimes it is like, I don't know, with the Tibetan proverb, it's always hard to translate. Is that to be able to succeed in what we do, that we might have to kind of boost our spirit more in a very exaggerated fashion, isn't it? I can do the 10,000 things. Because you're not going to do the 10,000 things, But if you do that, you might as well accomplish 100 things, isn't it? Right? So the Tibetan, the proverb is just like, even if the truth is on your side, if you are not so persuasive, kind of humble thing, nobody just care about your truth, like what? But you just somehow use a persuasion and exaggerate it and manipulate it, like thing. At least you might find some people to accept a portion of your truth, isn't it? That's how it works. So we need to do the, let's say, the positive exaggeration thing here. That's all I could translate. Yeah.
뒤에 통하다 농의 체중 다시 냐바 됐다면 고제들 간세 데려다 다다 그래서 개바 됐삼지 비게 녀와내우시나 라이 비게 그래서 마시모 뽑어야나 에네 등의 중에도 소면서 계셔가요 말와 버티려 주는 데는 고제들에서 뭐들에서와 다 존주서 상심 강 존주 되던다 시 뭐받zam다 대받을 제와야 때모인데 나나미 상지 존주 더 봐도비 주대와시 존주 대다 대바 따지 대라니 상주의 현기 체도 람칸을 심 সম্방 까와지 거비 까와지 매바 상설을 쏘는데 사바데 뭐 고마시나 티과시 뭐리 니바 세비 세예비 윤저에 세 정하셔 디레스 다다다 디간도 존주데 다다간절도 요마르 왔으면 요마르 디세워 다거지 존주테다 뭐받zam시나서 다다 디레스 용야하게 때 마모받지 용로시나 산 디레스 깨베는 시거와 얘네야 대양 tempo 걸사 심께바 대 템포스도 될 상지 그게 신지타도 상지 토야 그게 유 템포 맞아도 하고 그래서 어디서 그래서 나라미 현주시 존주서 받으면 유대바 시는스 유대바 시는 데로 그래서 거기라미 서로 토야기야 삽 박자도 망보지야 샤니 에는 세버시 데서 내가 거버시 말아 시는 존주때 다 내가 다시 될라는 성주의 현이 체르스 레칸라 심심밤 아니 까와제 고비 까와제 까지 고비 차고와제 매바 상살 송도 또 거운데는 이 렉디야 너바야 때온데잖아 근데 가져제도 오늘 장상 그때 깔제잖아 매바 다다다 가서 뭐 마시고 와 공소나 애는 오늘 장상 그때 소도 라렌 따르타 용고래서 됐어 봐라 어디 심지어도 가세 뭐 가지시는데 ጮ나다 신나다 지에매 용토고요 레스 가서 배 예벌로 장하죠. 제가 디레 손자 인 다다 뭐바이지시 다 디레 손자 가서 가슴 책좀 소지 레와서 근데 되게 협조 말했어. 가서 그게 상훈나 매바도 시 가서 고아라라 셔나. 야 사부 이민 갈갈 미용 거로. 근데 셔르셔도 맞아 람사 떡밥이게 고마다가 야 떡밥이 개운 거. 깨르게더로 두게 그래서 거로.
So we're on page 184, the last paragraph there. And as Geshe explained, that from the beginning, if we set such a strong motivation, determination, putting on the armor like Junju said, even if a day is constituted by 1,000 eons, and a year is constituted by that kind of a day, and I work for one single sentient being to progress on to enlightenment, and I'll stay the course, right? If we have that kind of a mindset, then other difficulties, challenges we face becomes really insignificant, isn't it? Because that is such a powerful, strong motivation, and this pales, difficulties in the face of this determination. So that's why it's very helpful for us to cultivate that kind of a mindset. And then, as it is stated in the last paragraph on page 184, that if we cultivate enthusiastic perseverance or Junju, and especially we kind of connected with finding the enlightenment. So that kind of a Junju becomes what we call a stabilized in the form that it creates imprints on our mind, right? Seed. That's that become a cause for us to achieve enlightenment. Where we are right now, right? We cannot pretend to have the Junju, which we don't. We just aspire for it. And so as a part of cultivating it, it's important for us to how should I say, cultivate this wishing thought that how nice if I can have this kind of a Junju pretty soon. I would like to have that. Use our imaginative power. Don't fake it out, but just really believe in your imaginative power that I hope, I'm able to cultivate this kind of a Junju. And then slowly, through that kind of imaginative thinking, that our mind gets more familiarized with the Junju. By the power of familiarization, Gombe-1, intimacy, one day, Junju starts to grow in our mind, right? And then it blooms, right? So once Junju blooms, then things become very easy, by that. And so referring to the Bodhisattva Bhumi levels, it is said that if we cultivate Junju, even through wishing, wishful thinking, at this point, it kind of helps to plant the seed in our mind and activate the Mahayana seed or the lineage, inclination, isn't it? It takes time. When we think in terms of internalizing realizations, right, it doesn't happen overnight, right? It's not going to boom, right? It is a process, it takes time. Little by little, these things all, add up together. And through this process, one day, then the realization emerges in our mind, right? That's our hope. So we have to respect the process, procedural nature of our development and practice here. And it's the same thing. If we keep doing this kind of thinking, our Mahayana inclination, the seeds get activated. As it get activated more and more, the power of familiarization kicks in. And then one day, really, the Junju starts to emerge in our mind and increase. And then everything else becomes easier to do. Okay? So that's the way to go.
퍼진디보다 인가지 커베타다 냠도 야시오에 터티스고 거기 코 통마면 다대 퍼디를 딘데지리야 샤고 직세 인제 직세 딘데지리 에니베게 사니 에니 샤고 가서 다 사슴줄라 로체 가서 다와시 대중이 로체 딘데지스로 리미 개바게도 추득 당이 예스 정주적 심기 정주적의 세위계절라 딘데나만도 현리신 루거적인 인지교함이 정주탐바 이루매버 롭 코르도랑 눈인세 당시 고자때만 바에 뒤에는 두유보 인지응제라 양달랑바 당보인버 예스 어디 다 딘데 사비 깨와 야조바디 정의예네 딘데 심지적 동데 어디에 소사네와 저주적의 심시줄라 딘데담비 소신의 레레싱스 다 소신 근데 사회 다 심지를 간다 지금 해와 나 신신 소강가 디레 게바다 통마베 타마베 바디를 디에 샤고직지야 나 이신 은 로드다와시 도구이나라 디데 이로 메바신 애니 베 로드 때모 샤 스고와 차서 거저 때모 빠이 디게나 두휴보 닝제강제라 양다랑부 당인 버지스 두휴보 닝제 강제스는 상주스 바라 엔타 거저도니 존 거저 따티스 거다 근데 상승 그게 가르사 먼저 거르티스 거 남주 류다 샤다다 엔데가 닝제 사바타바다 엔토니도 바시네 상주스 말 가르치는 말이 강가 대화마 두면서 대화마 해야지 버디 어디 장안에는 그 사도 디제 샤우요 임베라와 어디 샤도 그랬어.
So we are on top of page 185. We have passage quoted from Compendium of the Perfections dealing with Tsundu in its benefits. And as Geshe explained, that putting on the armor like enthusiastic perseverance means a really strong, setting a very strong and broadened mindset, isn't it, from the beginning. And the one example mentioned is, we say, think about 1,000 eons make only one day, right? And so 30 of those days becomes 1 month, right? And 12 of those months become 1 year. So even for the sake of one single individual's well-being, right, if I have to help that person, I will put on this armor-like perseverance to help him or her progress to the enlightenment. Now, if we cultivate that in regards to one individual, now we know the sentient beings are many, isn't it? Innumerable. So I'm willing to do the same thing for every other sentient being. So that really strengthens our mindset, right, tremendously. So if we cultivate that kind of thinking, pretty soon, we will find that the armor-like mindset started to set in within us, and it started to emerge and become very stable within us. So then we will be able to have a very stable mind of enlightenment, right, for others. So because of that, and then we could eventually become the last sentence of the passage on page 185 from the Compendium of Perfections is, for the disciplined hero possessed of compassion. For the disciplined hero, it really refers to the bodhisattva. Then we can truly experience bodhisattva's tsundu, or enthusiastic perseverance. What is armor like? That's why we hear about the stories of bodhisattvas. Now my second footnote, not all bodhisattvas at this stage, because they are in different stages. But we hear about bodhisattvas who have such courage and willingness to sacrifice everything, literally they have. Their body, flesh, bone. Forget about the family members. Like when we say your flesh and bone, right? Family members are, of course, included there. They are willing to do that. And how could that be possible, right? We can imagine, unimaginable now. It's because they have this kind of armor-like enthusiastic perseverance, and they have developed what we call the pure, unconditional, compassionate heart, and then combined with the wisdom, realizing selflessness. Because of the power of these realizations, they can do the unimaginable things, and they really don't suffer like us, right? Cutting the body into pieces, or draining the blood to feed others, or whatever. That's the kind of power happens. It's partly due to the armor-like enthusiastic perseverance that they have gained. So we will stop there for today, and we welcome your questions and observations. Page 185. Yeah, 4, 2. Yeah.
I have a question about this.
Yeah.
Oh, it's probably not turned up.
Am I waiting?
It's okay. Yeah, you can say it louder and.
About developing the armor-like joyous perseverance as being the definite cause on the bottom of page 184 of awakening your potential from Mahayana lineage. I remember Geshe explaining some time ago that Prasangikas don't believe in the potential for Mahayana lineage.
Say it again.
Prasangikas
Yes.
do not adhere to that notion of having a potential for Mahayana lineage. So I'm curious as to why he is introducing this notion here for the first time without any explanation, but also seemingly, according to Geshe, in previous explanation, there is no what Asanga claims to be. Now that's too loud. To be a potential of Mahayana lineage is not something that Tsongkhapa would agree with. Because according to Asanga, I remember that was explained before, the potential, not everybody has the potential for Mahayana lineage.
According to
Asanga, yes.
Yes.
And Geshe explained that that's because he's a Chittamatrin.
Right.
But now he's using Tsongkhapa here the same notion as though he agrees with that, but being a Prasangika, you should not be agreeing with it.
Okay, so let me double check it, okay, because of our mic coming in out. So what you said is the main point. According to Prasangikas, they don't believe in the Mahayana lineage inclination. Everybody has it, right? Is that what you said?
No, not everybody. According to
Asanga or Prasangika?
Prasangikas, that's right.
Okay.
They don't even talk about Mahayana potential.
Okay.
No, but this notion of Mahayana potential, Geshe explained, was only in the Chittamatra, only in the Bodhisattva level. He's quoting the Bodhisattva levels
yes,
here,
okay,
right?
Okay. Yes. So,
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, I'll see. Yes. Kurangi di kandi shugore again. That under the kari shugore changsala shi chan ro wa gen. Junju gi di sidu kan ya ane takwa simbe rig temba de seb chig sum ro wa gen. Ta di de dawa tan Kuran chewa shue di this sigu de wa gen tenju ba ro wa gen. ane rig kasa da takwa simbe rig ro wa gen. Yo be dugu yo mar wa ro wa gen. Di chig ro wa gen. Ni ne ta tanda di ro wa gen de soye di tanda di ro wa changsa sidu kan ya ke semza ba luk ro wa gen. tanda di ro papa tomek ro wa gen. Sidu kan ya ane papa tomek ke chebe yime ne ane semje tamje ya sanje ke rig yo be ro wa gen. Shi ayo ro wa gen. Chesa ta tanda di ya je ro chi ge ane ta tanda di kung di tan ro wa gen. ane junju chebe na ane sanje ke rig temba chi ke seb chi ke sla ro wa gen. chebe na ane je ro chi kong ji kar cha go ro wa gen. sanje rig yo ba shi ge ro da ro wa gen.
네 장사도 다 선동 농구 지나서 그 선지서 사지 티바 타도 좀 송길래 거서 그러와. 지도 다 선지 탐지 뭐인데 가제 샘진 탈라야 상지를 여와 샘담을 해야 되는 거야. 저기는 이거 왔다. 그래서 저기도 상대 저기도 근데 당보 때 저기 박자 주고 와. 근데 야야 유럽지가 세다고 야 공부시 야 상지 뭐지 거기 박자 남서 야 남는 거 누구 말아. 세다때 좀르던데 제서나 근데 박자들 그 구조를 제가 어디서 와. 근데 대신에 야야 신은 남고도 근데 상지 때문에 수그레스. 어디서 와 단다 데레 지다 탱교로 신은 다 가르치는 현재 심지는 상지를 납쇼거다. 심자바이나 납쇼리. 다 심지 탐지기를 요래서 다 심지 농지는 니들 가가지고 와.
again shunatanda 그래서 튕주베 로라야 심지 주로 상지 리기스 납쇼.
어디라 그래?
심지 탐지를 요메티.
심지 다 탱교 인데 심지 요새 그러와. 다 농지비 다도 그거 지로 가가 심지 탐지를 요새 그러와. 다 농지나 다도 그거 직접 돼서 가서 숨좀 돼서 ane rigidity yulago ro teacher mo kayo mare
알던데 데셈자 마단다 겐디 장사는 시에시데 터디 타바 숨동에 들어가게
장사 때 장사 코는 파고토미 경디가特别와서 이래 조조데 데레 타도 되바 숨동에 놓는 거래 레디 신나 바 돈이다 데레 깨때 뭐 지도 남 루주고 리발라 ene 피케스 샤이 키라요 말에 셈장 바신다 엄마 텐주와나 런지부 간가 사질랑아 간가 지도 직받지고 셔고로 와. 어디 근데 체세요 말. 선지 리뷰에서는 내가 염도.
아니 단다디게 베나다 제는 뭐지 공부디 엄마 텐주베 루인베 이나라와게. 단다 딜이야 아니 시기 시에베나 아니 제는 뭐지 다 가서 루 텐주바 인기디 단다 시에 지금 말로게 다디 가서.
단데 데데 가서 지도 따와지 텐주로레서 뭐지 저번 냠래 뒤에 강가 tenju와다 심자바 개발자시라요 말마. 이거 다 가네시나. 다 제르블라리 쳔모데 페이지에 단단 데세 말에 신에 파디레 semzamba ti hishaji changsada papa tomi di hishaji he sigwa
No, so.
다들 나도 다요 거리 디자인 땡큐로 힘이 용거라
No, so.
테마도 투모 다가는 셰샤나
시내바다 배지 주배 차를 숙제 된데 그러.
어디 집에서 찍버리고라
No, so.
되래
No, so. Okay, so this is what Geshe said, that Bodhisattva levels, of course, the Sanghas, except there are maybe three final vehicles, if you will, which means that not everybody is necessarily have Mahayana lineage inclination, right? Many have and many don't, okay? So that's the possibility. So this statement can be taken in the sense that enthusiastic perseverance Junju will activate the Mahayana inclination in those who have it, stabilize it, not like in everybody's, right? That's one way. The other thing which you mentioned about the Prasangikas viewpoint, right? Prasangikas do accept the Buddha nature or the seat of enlightenment, right? As a matter of Prasangika says that all beings have the Mahayana inclination. So Geshe says here the way Lama Tsongkhapa approaches the Lamrim is that from the beginning up to the section on the Shine, Shamatha, come abiding, he primarily refers to the Chitta Matrin's sort of perspective, in such as Bodhisattva levels quoted a lot and other texts in related one. Because that's because when we think of Buddhism in terms of Chöba conduct and Tawa view, when it comes to the conduct of the practice point of view, I think regardless of what philosophical tradition you follow, you agree much on it. But in terms of the philosophical nature, then the special insight section of Hatha Vipassana, then Lama Tsongkhapa explains it in terms of the Prasangika, right? He does not follow the Chittamat. Right? So right now it's a Junju section, so much of what this practice, he agrees with it, Yeah. And yeah.
Thank you, Geshe, for the teachings. So I was, as we're going through the teachings, what brought to mind for me was actually the third noble truth of the Buddha, the cessation of suffering, right? So, because I wondered if this would be a good practice where, sometimes when I really contemplate on that cessation of suffering, it actually gets me even more depressed.
Right.
Just very sad, which is sad because there's so much suffering.
Right.
But then there's a little bit of hope, that I guess we can overcome this,
right.
But I wonder if then would be a good practice to incorporate this joyous perseverance with the cessation of suffering, because it sounds like they go hand in hand.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. Quran condition this go again that and under the Junju ki call Jashina Murwagen. Toma de Tochana Asrowagen. Says any Junju the Yamne Chitu Kalia, any Tandang on the Tempashina Neta and Gogden Yorwagen. At Gogden the Samrotang by Narwagen, and Junju Diguna Menasa, Slugdoma. Tapana district, the Koran Yamno Chevina. 당어서 템바시 공도가 동해담바 공으로 하게. 동해담바 공도 되가란 잠잠이야 안에 지가서 콜로도 비에 sabla mismu charge 하게. 안 동해지 딜레마가 동해지 안 비게 동해지 안 동해지 아니 갈라고다 미베 셈차이로 하게. 다 이내 잠잠다 동해지 요르데 세 탑랑을 요르데 테스트로 와르시버서 하게. 다 이내 디 동해지고 동해담바 지고 삼로 마담베다 디 고그데 냠도 하게. 지리전 삼로 땅바 이나로 하게. 안에 지기야 로보 비야로 서버 딘데 펜도 여베는 칸데 이나스 그러다.
되네 그 노야면은 다 등에 가서 상담되네 등에 가 등에 이다서 좀 영어로다 다 그다다 등에 구매하다 그래서는 등에 제야 탑실 매야 돈다 등에 경우도 해야 되고 등에 경우도 해야 되다는 등에 설가 말어 마가 되는 다 등에 되야 유담 좀 아유 뭐 제바지 이 대시고 등에 되야 방야야 해오서 이 신이야 럽정시야 주고 그러 tema 이게 눈에 찍고 있는데 탑이 막 삼마다마다도 배도야 봐봐. 어디 팽거 저다 고den도 도와요도 에네 가르사 내가 비게 눈에 연나 대담게 비게 로레 미소가 가용 봐라. 배는 가서 나자도 휴식을 나이나 저라는 메인에서는 차로 그래 조금만도 셀이 익세면도 세나 그거 휴식이래 말해. 이러고
Geshe said, yeah, I mean, actually, yeah, we should be, in a sense, incorporating that kind of thinking, right? As we contemplate the truth of suffering, just don't only focus on it, right? Because it becomes too, I mean, if you don't think about the possibility to be out of suffering or the cessation of suffering, then it's like it's so depressing, isn't it? It's just suffering and the suffering and the suffering. Who wants that? So the fact that in Buddhism there's so much explanation, emphasis on realizing the suffering is once we're really convinced that there's so much suffering, then we become interested in investigating, what brings this to us, right? What's the possibility of putting an end to the suffering? So this is how we see the Four Noble Truths, all of them, right, being very relevant, right? And so it's important, as we said, as we're cultivating the Jundu, we can incorporate, right, just like you mentioned, the cessation of suffering in that, so that it gives us a hope, right? An example Geshe gives is, like, say, when we fall sick, right, and which is not fun, you're sick. But then, the doctors assures you, what, yeah, this is a temporary kind of condition you have, and I assure you there's no life-threatening sickness here. You're not going to die. That much I can say. But you have to take the medication, and it'll take a time, and then, now when you're assured of that, your life is not danger, you will get over with it, but it'll take time, and you take the medicine, you got a job to do, right? Then somehow that helps us to deal with the pain a little better, isn't it? There's a hope. The pain is not permanent here. It's going to subside, right? It's going to be cured, isn't it? So in the same way, as we think about the truth of suffering, we know that the cessation of suffering is equal to, isn't it? There is a hope, right, to put an end to that. So therefore, whatever suffering we have is very temporary in nature. It can end. So there is a way to end it, right? So I think that's the important, way to incorporate in our thinking. Any other thoughts? Or request, prayer request, anything? Mental shaman. Sure. Can you give the, yes, Latmir, yes, I'd like him to ask more questions.
About the definition of joyous perseverance.
Yes.
Joyous seems to be emphasized. Is it the same as the effort, the mental factor of effort, which is one of the 11 virtuous mental factors?
Okay. Sure.
And if it is, I don't think Vasubandhu, even Asanga, include the element of joy. So, for example, if we are practicing something, virtuous activity, without joy, like a tired monkey driven up a hill or something like that. Is this a joyful, an aspect of, an example of enthusiastic perseverance or joyful perseverance?
Right. Koran condition the dirisha that and again the Junju ki chinyi the table again. Kewala that was still good one. Situ Kalia di Tandanganzo Kewe ki Simjun Chuchi or again. Dina Shebe Junju the secret rest again.
Junju Gyeltsen,
No, it was again. And then Tanda di Junju ki chinyi shadu Kalia, draw delia, Shununti to us again. Kabuse or Kewala. Situ Kalia. Pena tanga to the Kewa Chigo or again. Kewa Chitu Kalia, and 가병 안에 맞아봐서 와. 개와 주지 지고 와게. 이제 가고 싶으니 이제 지고 오면 와게. 근데 준비 차다 차요 말서 와게. 개와나 주고 와. 이제 집에 가네 지고 오면 와게. 제가 준비 콩을 치고 와 말서 와.
네. 다 드시고 개와 시기 시에 벌라. 이제 뭐에 시다면 차가 시에
집에 가지 지게 말이야. 개와를 주고 돼요. 와게.
개와 다 깔래 가야 드시고 와. 이제 대대 다 지당 내가 데려와 가서 개와 콜도 녀고 말이지. 근데 소소다디 니모 현다 시지 갱도 현다 그 리룽 마제 비디 갱쇼 온다. 근데 미지로 샤고 와. 뭐 돈도 걸어 살때 가야 말와.
말갱이 디스 센스 말게. 그런 디스 오다 반응 안 줘기 괜찮다 냠내기 야가 개와 차체로 와게. 이제 가고 싶으신데 지겨 말와게. 자꾸 이제 약을 해서 그 제샤를 맞아. 제샤를 맞아. 이게 샘을 떠나 싶으시네 배다 지겨 말와. 근데 진주 차가 쓰고 맞어. 와게. 개와를 주고 제 얘네 가고 싶으지.
피지 저거
맞죠 보이나?
개와 주고 그러나 아니 개와 좋아想的这个意思对了。주고 개와 쉬고 그러. 돈도 개다 소베 내가 근데 배나 지르와 세디는 이 총개별 들어를 이 가고 신게데 좀도 쉬고 말봐. 될 내가 더 주고 좀 쉬고 말 이따다 내가 쉬고 와. 다 되면 이제 추시하게와 추를 잡지는 그 사모도 가지 땅은 고텔 쪼는 죽대야지 샤고라.
쪼가는 다가셔. 또 도나셔 먹은 쪼.
다가셔.
아, 인지민지 가버치.
요즘에 가고 집에 고 말이야. 그럼 뭐거나 가려서 어디에 갤 좋아하지 그거라.
So I was just trying to make sure that I communicate what you said, Geshe. Yes, in the definition, technical definition of Junju, right? We said it is defined as experience of joy or delight in doing something virtue. It seems like the emphasis is on the delight and joy, but connected to the virtue. So what if we engage in our practice, right? We're not necessarily delight, joy. Does it become a joy? Geshe said, actually it is. I think if we kind of look at flexibly, what it means, like instead of getting interested in doing the mundane of things, right? We just take the time to engage in something positive virtue. That mind, directing our mind in that itself is a junju, right? It doesn't have to be like, a hooray kind of, hallelujah kind of, joy there. It may be, but it doesn't have to be.
Because still there is some aspiration.
Right. 단단히 이렇게 몇 발을 차야 되죠. 그 junju 제쳐거로 개발이야. 다시 처음 거로 와게. Yes, yeah. Thank you. Any other questions? If not, I want to remind you once more time that next month His Eminence Song Rinpoche will be here, right? From September 29 to October 8, he will be, conducting a lot of teachings and things here. Okay, so I think the detail is on the website, so you can look at it. I just want to remind you that. And I have a prayer request. 먼저 기도치기 단단히 모션 받지 풍밖에 샤크치기도 하게. 제품에 좀 전화로 나서게. How do you say Isabel? Chuzar. Okay, Chuzar. Okay. He's having a shoulder surgery replacement, so please pray for her and others, who are going through treatment. 도저 공로녀베 좀 되는데 센당도 베긴도 동에서 도선에서 상계 매결라 벤주야이라 차자로 온베셔 베셔 베셔로 삼모가 돼서 Tanda sebe tsara mare mendon dunge jese dozo kula boje taze yala dojo yangde jodo shiro nyemo nilo leje jaro dunje je mare meze dunge nyobo jinye jeze rade na dene taze saje yende lunzo nyese do go chuda chuda junye jete dalo meze jambe yanglo de omara bada na de Kada deje shinglu toba yi lodo bobe na wan zero so lodo yanzu yu zhong beba de geza pome chidi member tenpa zenla wando jicho tanye shogu jala so obeisance to my guru and protector Manjushri, who holds at his heart a scriptural text symbolic of his seeing all things as they are, whose intelligence shines forth as the sun, unclouded by delusions or traces of ignorance, who teaches in 60 ways with the loving compassion of Father for his only Son, all creatures caught in the prison of samsara, confused in the darkness of their ignorance, overwhelmed by their suffering. You whose dragon thunder-like proclamation of Dharma arouses us from the stupor of our delusions and free us from the iron chains of our karma, who wields the sword of wisdom, hewing down suffering wherever sprouts appear, clearing away the darkness of ignorance. You who have been pure from the beginning, who have completed the stages achieving the highest perfection of a bodhisattva, whose princely body is adorned with 112 marks of a Buddha, I bow down to you, Manjushri, O Marabhata Di, O compassionate one, with the brilliance of your wisdom, illuminate the darkness enclosing my mind, enlighten my intelligence and wisdom, so that I may gain insight into Buddha's words and the texts that explain. Like the sweet perfume of white lotus, born in the ocean of knowledge, nourishing honeybees, the fortunate being, your fame pervades all directions. You are proficient and powerful in upholding the precious doctrine. To you, O Lord Sanktenting Wangta, respectfully I pray.
Nhất tâm kính lễ Đức Văn Thù Sư Lợi, bậc đại trí ngài điều phục hai chướng ngại, tựa nhật quan lan tỏa khắp mười phương, bậc thực chứng chân nghĩa màu rốt ráo, từ tim ngài Bát Nhã Kinh thủ hộ nhiệm màu, cõi luân hồi chúng sanh thọ nghiệp báo, bị ngăn che bởi phiền não vô minh, sở hữu 60 pháp âm thù thắng, cùng đại bi ngài hóa độ chúng sanh, tựa từ mẫu chăm lo cho quý tử. Tiếng rồng vang ngài thức tỉnh hữu tình, thoát khỏi vòng luân hồi nghiệp báo. Đường trí tuệ ngài chặt đứt vô minh, tận diệt muôn vàn khổ đau cùng ách nạn. Trường tử Như Lai tối thắng toàn giác, ngài an trụ nơi thập địa pháp vân. Báu thân ngài trang nghiêm thanh tịnh, 112 tướng hảo Như Lai. Đây đầu đảnh lễ Đức Văn Thù Sư Lợi, cúi xin ngài tận diệt ám chướng vô minh. Om Arapasana Di. Con khẩn cầu dưới gót sen bậc đại trí, bàn pháp lực diệt phiền não vô minh. Pháp vi diệu cùng muôn vàn luận dài, như diệu hương ngọt ngào từ sen trắng, đàn xanh nơi trí thù thắng đại dương, hàng thiện căn như ong mật thọ nương, hồng danh ngài khắp mười phương quảng bá, đấng thiện xảo uy dũng bảo tồn pháp bảo vô giá. Nam mô Lúc Sang Tenzin Quang Đắc. Xin cung kính trì niệm.
Shave Siddhi Bhakti Ten Yo